Hello everyone, Josh12 back again with my second video of 2018. Now when it comes down to it, when you have to start a new year on YouTube, you have to bring something great to the table. It's a whole new year, that means a whole new plethora of content to keep the people coming. However, what can I really talk about that's so monumental, so epic, so flat out awesome, that would keep you so interested to subscribe and get others to subscribe to my channel? I mean, there's a lot of topics, let's be honest. I mean, hell, we got Logan Paul. Logan Paul single-handedly, not only seconds, but hours within the new year, destroying his career, supposedly, and of course destroying an entire platform, which is YouTube, and not to mention the credibility of said platform. Or there's also the nuclear button that's over in North Korea. And a single touch of that stupid button, allegedly we can be in an entirely new world where we have nuclear holocaust, a nuclear war between North Korea and the US of A. Donald Trump loves tweeting. There's always something hilarious to take from that. And then of course on top of that it's winter, so of course we have the epicness of that bomb cyclone, which is creating such a blizzard, such a winter, because, well, it's fucking cold. I live in Florida. It's cold. So we got that, we got this, we got so many topics, whether it be on a social, political, and global level. So many things. So many assholes out there. And it's only the beginning of the year. But you know what? I got something more interesting than that. I got something so monumentally epic and badass to talk about. It's far better than fucking Logan Paul's stupidity and his dumb video that completely destroys anything that could be great about YouTube again, or Donald Trump's stupid tweets, or this horrible winter. I got something more badass than that shit. You know what it is? I'm pretty sure you guessed already because of the title and thumbnail, and that is obviously Dragon Ball Super. Yes! I'm here to talk about Dragon Ball Super again, folks. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and people of all ages and sexual preferences, I am back talking about Dragon Ball Super again. Why? Well, why not is the better question, and of course, I'm enjoying myself talking about Dragon Ball Super, so it might be a continued thing once again, so I hope you enjoy, and if not, well, there's always a comment section. There's always a like to dislike ratio button that you can pick and choose as to I like this, I dislike that, as long as we're having fun talking about something that's interesting. And Dragon Ball Super is very interesting, and this episode is no different. I hope you enjoy my personal thoughts on this episode review, because I have a lot to talk about. And of course it's going to be long. This is me we're talking about. I love to shorten shit up, but I talk too much. I like rambling. God damn it, I love rambling. So, I'm going to have a lot to say. So I hope you enjoy that. And of course, spoilers. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to sit down now and talk about all things Dragon Ball Super. Hello everybody, Josh12 back here again with another video, and yes, I'm back with another Dragon Ball Super episode review. And regardless of how this video may look, especially with a text like that, keep in mind that I'm not trying to trigger Vegeta fans, I'm not trying to troll them, I'm not trying to even rain on anybody's parade. Because for all intents and purposes, today is the day for Vegeta fans to uproar in the greatest way possible, considering this is really the night for Vegeta fans. On the Japanese side, we have the latest and newest episode of the series, which is the first episode of 2018, and on top of that, we have the newest episode of the Funimation dub, which is surprisingly enough something really cool because they brought back an OG actor of Dragon Ball Past. Brian Drummond has returned to voice the character Vegeta, or more particularly, his copy, which is a really cool and brilliant idea, and I would say probably the smartest idea Funimation has done with the entire dub as a whole. Of course, I'm here to talk about episode 122. And this episode brings us back a favorite son of Dragon Ball, someone who's taken the fandom by storm, and that is Yuya Takahashi. Yu Yu Takahashi coming back after the amazing episodes he's worked on. This episode really started off with a bang. And for all intents and purposes, it's very much a Vegeta heavy episode for a good reason, because he is the major topic of the episode. But overall, this episode is very Vegeta heavy, and let's get into that. Spoilers all around if you've not seen this episode. This is Dragon Ball Super episode 122, titled For One's Own Pride, Vegeta's challenge to be the strongest. Overall, regardless of any of the major hype that was pertaining towards this episode, whether it be the return of Yu Yu Takahashi or Vegeta taking on Jiren, this being the first episode of 2018, I really was going into this episode with very, very much mixed feelings. I was kind of not really digging the idea of the matchup of Vegeta versus Jiren, like the overall fandom. I get it. A lot of people love Vegeta. A lot of people want Vegeta to even be the main character. A lot of people want Vegeta to get the spotlight. Vegeta, Vegeta, Vegeta. I feel like every single time it's a topic about Vegeta, everything just starts to sound almost like Vegeta himself talking if he was a real person. But for all intents and purposes, this was going to be a big episode, regardless of my personal qualms with it. And overall, I feel like this episode delivered in a lot of places. With that being said, let's get into some smaller things, because this episode will, in fact, have a lot to do with Vegeta and Jiren. For one, the episode opens with the Grand Priest and the Xeno Samas making the bleachers a lot shorter for everyone to stay in a precise and enclosed portion of the bleachers, which I thought was okay. I guess it just gives the animation staff more room to just not really have to scatter everybody in the specific parts of the tournament, so everyone's in just one specific spot. And I'm okay with that. It's whatever. The rest of the episode kind of starts off like a Mexican standoff. We've had a lot of standoff in Super and in Dragon Ball as a whole. This one is probably my favorite. A lot of that has to do with Takahashi's biblical style, but for the most part, this opening of the characters of Universe 7 and Universe 11, the last remaining universes of the tournament, standing off against each other, and the two top dogs, Goku and Jiren, just walking to each other as there's no like narrations, it's just straight up two people walking towards each other, and everybody else just waiting for shit to go down. It's hands down my favorite opening to a fight episode, which is what this is. There's not really any heavy story points. It's just fight, fight, fight. But as the episode continues, there's other things that are happening, of course, but overall, it's Goku versus Jiren. They're the two top dogs who are starting off the episode. Vegeta has this little shoehorning left field in there. And then we have Gohan and 17 teaming up to take on Toppo. If you've been keeping up with spoilers, then that was something that was inevitable. 17 and Gohan are going to take on Toppo, which I'm okay with, I guess. I mean, 17, I really don't know what he can add to the table. And Gohan, even though he is powerful, I don't know if he can be on the same level of a God Destruction, which is what Toppo kind of is. And then on the sidelines, we have Dispo versus Frieza, which was much more entertaining than I was expecting. Because when you look at a fight in a matchup like that, you would expect Frieza to just go golden form and just blast Dispo into oblivion. But it doesn't really end that way. It's kind of just, it's more or less kind of evenly, like, matched. Let's get into Vegeta versus Jiren. Goku kind of starts off with Jiren. They have a pretty even match. They square off against words. I thought it was kind of interesting how Goku powers up into this extreme level of Super Saiyan Blue. It almost kind of felt like, oh, is he going to go Mastered Blue, kind of like how the manga did? Well, apparently not. It's just straight up Blue versus Jiren. And of course, as expected, it's not really doing anything to Jiren, but at least Goku is putting more of a match in comparison to how he did on the special, which was episode 109. And Jiren just completely is obliterating Goku. He's really just toying with him at this point, so they're kind of just going at it. And then out of nowhere, Vegeta just comes right in and just declares his fight with Jiren. Now, first off, this is the first major thing I did not like with this episode, and it's probably going to be the biggest thing outside of the next thing I'm going to talk about that I don't like about episode 122. How Vegeta starts his fight with Jiren. It's the worst setup to a fight I've ever seen possible. We have Goku and Jiren. Every single step of this episode, and every single notion, every single portion, every single narrative plot thrust in this show, in this arc, has been giving us the hints that the climax is Goku versus Jiren. As predictable as some fans could say, or a lot of fans could say that is pretty much what this show is setting up as the main end of this arc. And Vegeta just comes right in and says, Now fight with me! And I just don't like that. I would have liked this episode more if there was more of a setup to it, and there just isn't. I mean, like, Goku and Jiren have a fine old time fighting each other, and out of nowhere, just boom, Vegeta just comes in. Even Goku's surprised. He's like, ugh! It's like Vegeta just shoehorns himself in there. He has no real reason to fight Jiren, and I feel like the main reason I hate that so much is because as much as I love to see a Vegeta-centric episode, I don't want to see him fight Jiren. Why would I want to see him lose? And that's something that I feel that I'm so detached by the rest of the fan base, especially Vegeta fans, that I just find myself I'm so detached, I just don't understand it. I mean, I don't understand how anybody can really accept that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a cool idea. It's almost like a video game moment. Like, let's have Vegeta fight the ultimate bad guy. Sure, that sounds cool. If you were playing Vegeta in a video game, there was a superior fight that was preceding this one that had a better setup than this one alone. And that is Vegeta versus Toppo. In the episodes that precede this one, Vegeta is having various fights with various characters, while Goku and Jiren are going and having the time of their lives, beating the shit out of each other. Ultra Instinct this, and Jiren the Great that. It's a lot of cool and fun rides, but Vegeta has a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we didn't get a chance to see. His battles with Ribrianne, that was something that we never got to go in full details with. And hell, the one that I was most looking forward to that we didn't get to see, Vegeta versus Toppo. Tell me you wouldn't want to see that. Everybody would want to see that. It's an epic fight of biblical proportions, and it's much more leveled, and you really don't know who could win that fight. With a fight like Vegeta and Jiren, you already know what's going to happen. Jiren's going to beat the shit out of Vegeta. Vegeta has no chance. And that's not me trying to be like, oh, well, I'm a Goku fan. Vegeta, fuck you. You ain't winning. I'm not doing that. It's just logical. I'm Spock here for a second. I'm here to say the logical thing to do is have Vegeta fight Toppo. It makes more sense. There's a better setup. And you have no idea how that could end. Plus, Toppo's not a pussy. There's something that's kind of just being left out there in the ether, which is like Toppo's like whatever. Toppo's a strong character. There's a reason why he is next in line to be a god of destruction. Because he's a boss. And Goku's never beaten Toppo. Even though they're kind of leveled, Goku's never really beaten Toppo in a one-on-one fight. So it would have been really great to have Vegeta kind of beat him and just prove like, oh wow, he got to do something. It makes most sense. They're both number 2s of their respected / heroes and universes. They're both very, very powerful. They're both next in line to be God's Destructions, where Toppo is in the anime and Vegeta is in the manga, I guess, as far as we know. But no, we get Vegeta versus Jiren. I just feel so detached from the Vegeta fan base and the Dragon Ball fan base that I'm just like, how is anybody surprised or hyped for this? Yeah, I was hyped for this, but I was more hyped because Takahashi was doing it. If Takahashi wasn't doing this episode, I could give a fuck about Vegeta versus Jiren because I know what's going to happen. Regardless of any of that little mini rant, Vegeta does actually a pretty good job against Jiren, which was very unexpected. I did not expect Vegeta to really do a good job, and he did. And I guess the theories of Vegeta possibly being stronger than Goku, at least in base Super Saiyan Blue form, I guess has a little bit more credibility. He holds a wallop, if you will, when it comes to his punches against Jiren in comparison to Goku. Or at least Goku when he fought him first. This episode does some stuff that I was really looking forward to and did a really great job at, which is not just keeping it a specific Vegeta versus Jiren episode. And I liked how they transitioned and edited this episode in a way where every single thing that happened with Vegeta, where you just don't know what's going to happen to him next, it transitions to another fight. We get to see Toppo smashing the ground, and then Frieza, he's trolling Dispo. But oh no, Dispo's trolling Frieza. And there's just a lot of really cool things that happen in this episode that keep it from just being, oh, here's Vegeta saying something cool, then getting smashed. And of course Takahashi, once again, oh my god, that motherfucker, I have to say it again, he is just so good at his job. I mean, right here I can place like so many, like my favorite screenshots. Every freaking portion of this episode that he has a hand in working on is basically the best screenshot of the episode. You can make a screenshot out of anything in this episode because of how good he does everything. The anatomy of the characters, the facial expressions, the detail in the costumes and the character depth. It's just the shading, the colors, everything just pops and looks so dynamic and good looking and sharp. If I was doing the final verdict now and basing it specifically only on Takahashi's work, I would be giving this episode a 10 out of 10. It's perfect. As the episode continues to go on, of course, we have little bits and pieces of Goku kind of getting into the mix of things, but it's mostly just Vegeta taking on Jiren, and we get to the second biggest thing that pisses me off about this episode. And that is, of course, Vegeta's retort to Jiren's dismaying of Vegeta's character flaws. Vegeta says something very interesting, and I'm not saying it's out of character because it's not, but it's very annoying, which is Vegeta says that he's going to take down Jiren. And Jiren basically says, no. Keep dreaming, kid. And Jiren basically states, he tries to humble Vegeta in a way where he's kind of like, hey, stop being an asshole. Like, you're not winning me. This whole self-righteous, egotistical shit that you got going on, it's not beating me. If you think that's gonna beat me, then you're dumber than you look. That's basically what he's getting at. That's my paraphrasing, not the exact words, but my paraphrasing of what Jiren says. It is so interesting to have that conversation because it kind of gives Vegeta the excuse to do something really cool and different with his character and development in the show. We've seen so much developing moments, and I'm not here to disagree. As much as I love Goku and characters like Goku and, well, just Goku as a whole, Vegeta is the most developed and well-rounded character of the series. He's the most beloved character for a reason because of his character arcs. However, why the fuck would you fucking say to the top bad guy, the top dog, the dude who beat the shit out of Goku, beat the shit out of all his forms, even one he pulled out of his ass, and hit a guy you couldn't even beat in the previous arcs, yet you're telling this guy, oh yeah, that thing that makes, that thing that you say is a weakness that everyone says and uses against me, well, it's basically my best attribute. In what world is that a good attribute to have? My prideness? Well, that's my fuel. You don't understand. It fuels me. It makes me stronger. Does it? Who the fuck wrote that shit? Was it somebody who has like a Vegeta Ultra Instinct like thumbnail or something? I want to know who wrote that. Because it's just so lame and cheesy and so like expected for him to say. You know, it's like, Jiren's giving you an out, dude. If Vegeta wasn't so uptight and in his own asshole, and wasn't so over the top with his ego and pride, he would actually get somewhere. I mean, I'm just saying here. I mean, like, if we're gonna shit on Goku for all of his faults, and when you have a critical and credible opinion to critique said faults, it makes sense. But we can't create double standards because Vegeta's so overly popular. No, he's going to continue to be praised for that one moment because, oh, it's so cool to see Vegeta go, ah, I'm Pride of Saiyans! Prince of all Saiyans! No. We like, after he said that to Kid Buu, I was pretty much done with his whole pride speeches. But yeah, with that being said, overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I have to say that the highlight of the episode is, of course, Takahashi's work. And also, on top of that, it was really cool to see Vegeta do some cool things. I mean, I would have liked to see his fight with Toppo more. I think that would have been more interesting. But you know what? It is what it is. As it stands, if I had to compare this with previous Jiren fights that he has with the series, I would say it's not particularly my favorite. I would say, if I had to rank them all, I would have to say... Excuse me. Ultra Instinct Goku versus Jiren is still the top favorite for me. It's still number one for me. It's still so good. Number two, I guess I would give it to this. It just looked so great and Vegeta did such an admirable job, I guess. And Jiren was just such a tank that it was just too delicious not to add it in there. So that's number two. Number three, I'd give it to Goku versus Jiren part one. And then last would be Hit versus Jiren. With everything being said and done, this episode was really enjoyable. I had very mixed feelings going into the episode. I felt like this episode was going to service the Vegeta fans with no real logic, and I was expecting Jiren to be depowered. I was expecting like something really stupid to happen, and everybody would just be scrambling with their heads cut off. Even though this episode was really just a ripoff of his previous fights in Z, the way it begins and ends is essentially a ripoff with his fight with Cell. So I can't give this episode too much credit when it comes to giving Vegeta some form of credibility and then kind of taking it away, seeing as how they already did that with that arc in that series and in those episodes. So yeah, there's not really anything new ground. There's no real new ground when it comes to this episode. It's just a really good looking episode. But I guess the best thing that you can take away from it is that this episode sets up the idea that instead of this climax of the tournament being mostly Goku Goku versus Jiren, that it's going to be Goku and Vegeta teaming up to take on Jiren, which I'm kind of okay with. I mean, as predictable as it is to have Goku beat Jiren, I kind of prefer that mostly just we haven't had that in this series yet. I mean, Goku's never really beaten a main bad guy in Super yet, so yeah, it would have been nice to see him actually win a tournament for once, but whatever, I digress. If we get like an Ultra Instinct Vegeta, or an Ultra Super Saiyan Blue whatever, I guess that's cool too, but all intents and purposes, when it comes down to episode 122, I really enjoyed it. All in all, my final verdict for episode 122 has to be a solid 8 out of 10. It was a great episode. Wasn't amazing? Wasn't perfect? It was great. A lot of moments in this episode just had my jaw dropped because not only of how good looking it was, but how unexpected the moments were. I really didn't expect Gohan to just blast fucking Toppo out of the air. I really didn't expect Dispo to grab Frieza's tail and start ragdolling him like a little chew toy. I wasn't expecting Goku kind of just to face off against Jiren right in the beginning of the episode. And the way it looks, because of Takahashi's great work, it just makes the episode just far more dynamic and amazing. So overall, I hope you enjoyed my personal thoughts on episode 122, and I also hope that everybody had a great time watching the episode, because, you know, there's a lot of Vegeta fans, and they're very vocal with their pride, if you will, against being a Vegeta fan, so hopefully they got something, because, yeah, I'm kind of getting sick and tired of, like, the countless people who are always like, why does Goku always get something? All in all, episode 122. I enjoyed it. Comment below, let me know what you personally think. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Super 2018 and my personal thoughts on it. This has been John 12, and I'll see you all next time.